Hey everybody, welcome to our first D&D stream ever on this particular channel. We are playing in a really fondly remembered setting from my youth, Dragonlance and Krynn. Without further ado, we'll get down to the heart of it. Our adventure is starting in this small town called Valkyr. It is in the Calculus Mountains. It's actually on a branch called Star's Home. Now, as chat and players can see here, this is on the very western edge of the mountains, and you have all the midland bogs of Throt and Throttle right running along the side of the mountains from north to south. The plains do open up further west of this. You start getting further towards, the Empire of Solamnia, which is now kind of spreading out. But you do still have these wild lands here. For Carol and for York, the journey was tiring. Bogs are not easy to travel through. You guys are traveling primarily with a white robe mage named Rim Toro. He's a human. Seems like he speaks with a Solamnic accent, so almost like that old Latin. He is not stern, I want to say, but definitely very committed in his beliefs. You know, he's always trying to look for the good side of things. He's always trying to help people whenever needed. And he's taken this duty that he has, which he hired you guys to come along with, to transport bodies from the Calculus Mountains back to Palanthas very seriously. Now, there is a knight with you. At least you thought so at first. Her name is Krynn, and she's actually with the Legion of Steel. Once you guys get into Valkyr, which is a small little town, like about a quarter of the way up the sides of the mountains, once you guys hit town, she leaves. She's like, you know where you're going, and I will see you some other time. Good journey, have a good day, and she just kind of vanishes into the crowds. Goes to see about other things. For Voss, Dade, and Sybil, you guys were in Sanction when you got the call for this particular job. You were basically set up to meet with a couple of Knights of Solamnia, oddly enough, in this small town Valkyr. It took you guys probably about 2 weeks of travel to get up here because you guys are passing from Sanction through the mountains, through the foothills, along the edge of the bog, so you got to this frickin' town. Your place of meeting where you're supposed to contact these people is in a small tavern called the Watered Beast. You know you're supposed to meet a man named Liam there, and a white robe mage is supposed to come in as well. Since you guys arrived first, you guys step in, you see this long narrow tavern. The fire's going to add a little bit of warmth to the place. You see the waiters kind of bustling between tables, the innkeep's at the bar. He has just finished talking to a patron, sees you guys as you walk in. You guys close the door behind you. It's just a little bit darker, so it's pretty much lit by the fire on the far end of the room and a couple of lanterns on some of the tables. So it's a very nice, amber lit scenario.
I'll walk in, look around, give sort of a sigh of disappointment and exasperation, and then I will lean over to Dade and say, I'm going to go sit down. I'll have some soup and some ale, and then I'll walk away.
What do you want, Sybil?
Sybil's just gonna ask for ale, and
All right.
then just gonna ask for them to keep coming.
Fair enough. I will go get that started. You guys grab a seat.
As Dade starts to separate off to head towards the bar by the innkeep, Voss and Sybil break off from him. There are some tables near the fireplace. There is one table that seems like it was kind of pulled out of place. It's a longer table that could fit probably about a good 7 or 8 people. It looks like it was against one of the walls. Somebody at some point has kind of dragged it so it's almost, perpendicular to the fire. So the width of it is facing the fireplace.
I'm going to need to be sitting somewhere where my back is to the wall.
The head of that table would work, or you can snag one of the tables off to the side that would be smaller. Now, you do know that you're meeting at least 2 other people, so there's going to be at least 5 in your party. Most of these tables only fit maybe 4 chairs.
All right. Yeah, I will go over to that table then that's been moved, and I'm going to just assume that it's a sign that this is the table that I'm supposed to be in since it was moved, and I will sit at the back head of it so that my back is to the wall, and that way I can keep an eye on everything and everybody else in the inn or in the tavern.
You wander by some of the tables as the waiter's kind of moving about. He gives you a nod as you make your way towards that table. You're passing probably 5 or 6 tables on your way in to get there. The fire is just warming the right side of your body as you sit down. Now, is Sybil walking to the table with him?
Yeah, she'll go with. She's going to position herself like not quite with her back to the wall, but at least so she can see most of you.
Okay, so you can definitely get one with like your back towards the fire, viewing the length of the entire tavern if you'd like to.
Mhm.
You take a seat. Dade walks up towards the counter, and you see the innkeep. When you walk up, he's like, "Hey, new face! I am always happy to see new faces. What can we do for you?"
I would like a bowl of your best soup and 3 ales, please.
Sitting at the bar? 3 ales for you?
Right over there, and I'll point back to the table where they're sitting.
Oh, I'll send them over. Not a problem. 1 stew,
Perfect.
3 ales.
You got it.
Bread and cheese?
Sure. Bread and cheese sounds good.
Excellent. So Lamas is going to be taking orders, wandering around the place. You'll see him, that skinny little elf moving around. I'm Dakir. Welcome to my place. Have a seat. We'll take care of you.
I'm Dade. It's a pleasure.
Nice to meet you, Dade.
And I will head back to my seat.
He'll give you a nod, and as you kind of wander away from the bar, you'll see him turn around, grab 3 mugs, and you'll hear that like tap kind of open up and start pouring this like frothy ale into them. As you're sitting down, you see Dade trying to make his way towards you, and you catch just the vaguest whispers of thieves' cant being spoken among some of the tables, just a bit to your left, like towards the entrance. You can't really pick out specifics. It primarily seems to sound like people are talking about this oddity of a white robe mage wandering through the bogs. It's almost humorous, but you don't get specifics. Just like it's a funny thing, a story that's being told right now.
I'm going to find an excuse to get closer to that direction so that I can hear more of the story, because this is interesting to me. So I will be standing up and pretending like I'm looking for like a bar rag or something like that.
So you kind of get up and you're like, all right, I gotta wipe this table down. You push back the chair a little bit and you just kind of do a subtle lean. And as you kind of get further out, Dade shows up and sits down, and you'll see the elf who's the waiter talking to a group of what appears to be, from your perspective, being in the rogue game, a couple of cut purses. They're like, yeah, like, why the fuck would a mage be walking through the bogs with like a gnome? Who does that? And the waiter Lamas is like, well, who knows who's traveling? Maybe they come for something new, or maybe it could be something of interest to enterprising individuals, as he's handing out drinks to the 3 of them. You hear him chuckle like, yeah, like we're gonna rip off a mage. That's just bad. That's bad luck. You don't ever want to steal from a mage. Lamas kind of shrugs, like he's just another person, right? And then he saunters towards the bar, and he switches over very, very casually to just common as he's addressing people on his way over, double checking his tables, etc. And he kind of makes his way towards the bar.
I was just going to sit down and kind of put my hands down and be like, all right, they're coming with food and drink.
Good. The sooner the better.
You're getting stew, not soup. Too bad?
What do you mean too bad?
Well, you wanted soup.
All right.
Hence the too bad.
What kind of stew?
Whatever their best stew is, I don't give a... smells kind of stewy. I don't know.
As you say that, you'll see Lamas kind of step forward with this little tray and hands out these 3 like wooden mugs of ale, very, very heady on top, as he sets them down in front of you. A little bit spills over and splashes down onto the table, and he puts his wooden bowl of stew in the middle of the 3 of you with a wooden spoon crudely carved inside. And it smells of like beef and like earth vegetables, like carrots and potatoes. It's just a very basic beef stew. A little greasy. You can see the grease kind of pulling in the broth up top as he slides it towards the center.
That's what the bread's for.
The best kind.
You get your meat and cheese. Out of curiosity, are there more joining you, or are you just taking the table for kicks?
Oh, no, we got a couple more coming. We're supposed to meet 2 people here.
Oh, okay. All right, I'll bring the cheese and bread out for you momentarily.
We appreciate it.
And he heads back. Now, Carol and Jorg are traveling with your escort now. As you guys have reached the town, your legionnaire kind of vanishes into the crowds, like I was saying. And so the 3 of you, Rintoro and Carol and Jorg, kind of make your way through the winding streets of this small village. The streets are dirt. So some of the streets are a bit muddy as you guys are making your way down them. Now, luckily, your horses are pretty solid. There's not a lot of like paws or anything. It's just, you can hear like the hooves when they hit the mud. It's like these suction sound as they're kind of walking through the streets. And the village smells a bit ripe. This is a place that doesn't have a very good sanitation system put in place. It's a small village, maybe 300 head, so there's not a lot of cleanliness going on here. So you will see trash in some of the gutters by some of the buildings. You know, it takes a while for anybody to kind of, you know, pick up the animal droppings for carriages and horses that come through. So it's a very very wild smell to the city. You smell that salty sweat of horses in the air as you guys kind of breach into the city itself. Rin has taken lead, riding between the two of you, kind of like in almost a pyramid formation, a triangle, and looks over his shoulder at Jorg, since you have worked with the knights in some capacity in the past. So Rin has kind of started to defer to you with some things. So as he kind of turns and looks over his shoulder, you can see like one hand has grabbed the pommel of his, or the horn of his saddle, has the reins there. The other is kind of pulling his robes up to make sure the hems don't get muddy as the horse's hooves kick up mud and water. And he says, "Have you ever been to such a small place? Like it smells."
Well, you get used to it sometimes. You have to work with the animals sometimes, with the carts.
Yeah, I guess I could see that. And he kind of looks over at Carol. How about you? Like, have you been to places like this before?
Not bad. There's been a lot worse.
Oh. And as you guys travel on, like maybe like half a block in, you'll hear whisper in the spider language of magic, and slowly take a deep breath and seem more relaxed. You guys will slowly make your way through the village. It takes probably about 10 or so minutes as you're kind of clopping through the mud and the little rivulets of waste water that's kind of passing through the streets. The people you're seeing are generally a little more down to earth and downtrodden in some aspects. They're wearing clothes that are more earthen colored, a lot of wool here going on because they're in the mountains. And you can see there's mud like splattered across most of their clothing. They look at you all riding your horses like almost like, great, you're an annoyance. It's almost like they view you as an inconvenience. You do start making it towards the center of town, where you see this sign hanging over this 2-story building, relatively small, that says The Watered Beast. And it's a picture of some kind of monster somebody drew. It looks like a dark, hairy, like muscular thing, and it's just chugging this whole like pint of ale down its throat. And Rin looks at it and just shakes his head. This is apparently where we're meeting people. Cultured. And he just kind of stops and looks around.
It's worse out there.
We should have great fun here.
I'll take your word for it. And he'll just kind of lead the horses up with the two of you in tow. And you'll see there is a stable boy out front. And whenever Rin pulls up, he's like, "Boy, do you work here?" He's like, "Oh, yeah. Yeah, I work here." Rin's like, "Good. Can you put these horses in the stables?" He's like, "Oh, yeah, no problem. I got you covered. It's on the house." And you'll see Rin just kind of nod, and he'll slowly like lean on the horn of the saddle, throw his leg over, and dismount his steed.
Can I get an insight check on that guy?
You most certainly can.
Yeah. So I'm not trusting that.
No, that doesn't.
So I've got a insight check for Carol of 6, and Jorg rerolled his for a 17. Holy shit. As the gnome looks over, this young boy can't be more than like 12 years old. He's wearing dirty, brown-covered like pants, and he's got this like white shirt that's seen better days. It's a little torn and restitched in some areas. He's looking up at Ren and like, "Yeah, I'll take your horse, no problem, on the house entirely." When Jorg is like, "Wait a minute, that's a little fishy." You look down at him. He's just waiting, like almost like it's almost that moment of him rubbing his hands together, like greedily. Clearly is bullshitting this guy. And Rin's just like, "Yeah, sure, good. You're a servant. You'll see to it." And the kid's probably not got the best of intentions for your horses.
Wait, just a moment.
Rin's like, "What?" As he's kind of stepped into the mud now. And you see his shoes just kind of sink a little bit in, like an inch.
Go get your master.
Rin looks over at the boy. The boy's like, "Oh, me?"
Yeah.
He's busy right now, cooking. It's the innkeep. It's the dwarf. You'll see him when you get in. But I'll handle horses. Don't worry about it.
We're important guests. We should see your master first.
Yeah, sure. How about you all go inside, and I'll hold on to the horses, and you guys can sort things out inside, and whatever you'd like to do.
Is there some reason why you don't want to get him? I don't know who he is.
Well, no, I'm really supposed to be out here to greet the guests,
Right, you're handling the guest. And the
Yeah,
guest
yeah. No,
wants
definitely.
to go get the guy who is your superior.
You know what? you know what? I will be right back. Of course. Let me
Okay.
just make sure we got room in the stable really quick, and I'll head right inside. And you'll see him kind of turn around and shuffle off. Now, to the left of the buildings, where you see like the side awning for the stable, and he kind of ducks underneath that, and then you hear like boop, 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 as his feet just across the mud and the ground and the hay as he runs. At that point, you hear like sounds like somebody's waking up. He's like, what? And you see this like older looking man, like a long gray beard, kind of lean out the side opening of the stables, sees you all standing there with your horses. Oh, I'm sorry. I was taking a nap. Oh man. And you see him kind of stand up, and he just brushes straw off him. He's got like a pitchfork in one hand as he kind of steps towards you guys. He's using it more like a crutch or a cane than just walking. Guy has to be at least like 60. He's wearing overalls that are just encrusted with like, offal towards the bottom and mud on his shoes. 3 of you guys horses, you staying the night, or are you just here for a while?
Looking to
I'm
Rin.
looking over at Rin.
Rin's like, oh, the boy was... And the man chuckles like, the boy? Little one? Dark hair? Rin just nods. He doesn't work here. He tries to steal horses. Why would you talk to a child for your horses? And Rin's like, well, I assumed he was a peasant boy just handling things. And the old man just kind of squints at him. You're a city wizard, aren't you? Rin shrugs. And? The old man sighs and kind of makes his way over towards you. I'll handle the horses. The man you want to talk to inside, it's the dwarf. You'll see him. He's got his braid, really weird braid going on. And he's nice but boisterous. Probably been serving, what time is it? He looks up at the sun. He's like, oh, yeah, he'll be saving lunch. It's Dakir. Talk to him. He'll get everything sorted out. I'll put your horses in the stable for now. Yeah? Yeah? And Rin's like, yeah, of course. And he goes to walk over the reins to his horse. The old man takes the reins, and he's like, can you lead them in after me, please? He'll actually look at Carol and Jorg.
I'm standing by my horse, reins in hand, waiting.
He'll walk
Same here.
towards the stable entrance, and you guys will see that they've got probably about 6 or 7 stalls in here, like 3 on each side and 1 towards the end. And off in the corner, they got bales of hay and straw, and they've got some grain feed towards the front. It's actually surprisingly well stocked, but there are no other horses in here right now. So essentially, the old man will take you to the first one. He'll put, Rin's horse in and just kind of like gesture to the other 2 on the side along with that horse. Just put them in there and latch them up. You'll be good to go.
All right.
I will do so.
March on.
Don't tell him I was taking a nap. Yeah, it's a little something about.
Sorry, I didn't hear something. I don't know.
Oh yeah, no, thanks. I really appreciate it. But you guys have a good lunch or whatever.
Please
Rin's
make sure they're watered.
Yes, please water the horses. Can you clean out the shoes, the bogs? The old man just kind of stares at him. He's like, okay, you'll handle that. Then do whatever you do. Let me go inside. And Rin clears his throat and kind of walks out of the stables.
Okay. Yeah, I'm actually just going to follow Rin, because at this point, I don't think he deserves a tip.
So Rin will step in, and for those that are inside the inn already, you guys will see the door open and see 3 more people step in. It's an odd assortment. Now, Carol's looking at it as if they were a human right now, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. Everybody that's met me thinks I'm human.
What do you look like?
I'm about 6'3", about 175. I've got jet black hair and gray irises, gray eyes.
Okay.
Shoulder length hair. Like I said, I'm wearing chainmail and a robe on top of that with the symbol of Mishkal.
Okay. And Jorg?
Oh, there we go. 42 inches tall, 42 pounds, a blue, dark blue beard, bald head, tiny spectacles, and a studded leather armor, basically.
You are very small. 45 pounds? And like
No
under
tossing.
4 feet.
No tossing.
Then you've got Rin, who's probably about 5'5", relatively pale skin. He's got dark hair pulled back in a fashionable ponytail. The robes he's wearing are actually very nice, but they have started to get a little bit muddy on the hem at this point in time since he's kind of been walking through the mud since you guys got here. He's got at the cuffs some embroidered symbols of magic and runes on them. For magic users, they're basically just runes that are paying homage to the Solanari, the god of white magic. He's got a belt pouch on with several different pouches. Being close to him, as you guys are now, instead of like on the road, on the horses, you can now smell that cloying like scent of spices and subtle decay around him that would kind of accompany, his spell components. And as he walks in, he looks to the left and sees the bar, sees the dwarf. He's like, that must be Dakir. And he looks on back and sees the table that's been moved, that's kind of blocking out the fire, and he just kind of chuckles and goes, well, that's an omen. I think that's where we're sitting, gentlemen. And he'll start cutting through the crowd. Doesn't even bother to talk to the dwarf, just starts going straight for that table.
I'll walk over towards the dwarf.
As you walk over, you see Dakir kind of lean up on the counter, puts both really very muscular forearms on the countertop and leans on him. He's like, so, newcomers, a lot today. What can I do for you?
Apparently we're joining the table over there. I was wondering if I could have, do you have any Colonesti White?
I don't serve mother's milk. We got ale, semi-clean water, and ale. And if you got the coin, dwarven spirits.
Cheese, heel of bread, and dwarven spirit.
Got cheese and bread going to the table already, but I will send some dwarven spirits out to you.
All right,
And do you
sir.
want just one cup for you or the whole group?
Just for myself.
I'll have some dwarven spirits as well.
Excellent. 2. I will make sure it gets you very comfortable. Don't worry. Have a seat. Lamas will bring it out.
Excellent. I'll turn and start heading over to the table.
And you see, as you step off, Dakir looks around and is like, where is that damn elf? Lamas! Get out of the fucking kitchen! More orders are up! He slaps the countertop. You'll hear swearing and Kaganeste in the back as you guys make your way. Now, for those at the table, you'll see this white-robed mage start approaching you guys. A young man, can't be more than 19, like I said. Actually, roughly around the age of some of you guys, too. And as he walks forward, he kind of pauses, maybe 5 or 6 feet away from the table itself, clears his throat, and looks over the 3 of you, and is shortly after joined by another human and a gnome.
Just for a quick rundown, my character is about 17 years old, just starting to get that mustache growing in, maybe a little bit of chin stubble, but he has piercing green eyes, is a decent-looking kid, and probably about 5'6", 5'7", maybe $140.
What does Voss look like, Sean?
Boss is about 5'9", 165 pounds, brown hair, green eyes, stubble. Not intentionally, just can't really be bothered to get a clean shave often enough. He's wearing leathers. Carries a dagger, rapier, and a bow, along with a backpack of his belongings. That's pretty much it.
And Sybil.
She looks a bit on the thin side, but build seems a bit sturdy. About 5'8". Got very short black hair. She's, as the others are kind of walking up to the table, she kind of gets this grin and it's like, oh boy, you've got a fresh face one here. Near the fire behind her, she's got her glaive kind of propped up against the hearth.
Okay.
Dressed in dark chain. For the most part, she's very pale. Eyes look a bit like they've got some dark circles, like she's not been getting very good sleep. But yeah, she's just kind of got a grin. Lips are a bit chapped from the cold weather.
The mage will let out a soft sigh and go, I believe you are the people I'm looking for.
How can you be so sure?
He'll walk over, kind of plant his hands on the side of the table and kind of lean to look at the 3 of you at the edge there. You're here for the job?
We are here for the job.
I'm gonna glance over at those criminals from earlier and see if they're seeing this, because what they were talking about just walked in.
They are, and they're like, like mouth open, like very briefly, as finger up, as this mage literally walks by out of the stories they've been told, and it's like, oh, shit.
I don't think they'll have the guts to do anything, but your journey and arrival here has been anticipated, and there are interested parties who may want to, I don't know, impede your journey in some way. So be careful.
And that's why we have everyone here. And you'll see Rin will actually kind of pull out the chair that he's kind of been leaning over and move and sit down. He's not carrying a staff, no visible weapons. He's just literally wearing robes and nothing else in terms of armor or weapons visible on him. And these are my traveling companions. And he'll gesture back towards Carol and Jorg. Gentlemen, have a seat at the table. This is where we're all gathering, it seems.
Stew. It's right here. Have a bowl. It's good.
Rin looks at that and actually puts out a hand, almost with a touch of concern on his face, like, you're not going to eat that, are you?
I have a bowl right now, actually.
He'll look over at Carol. Can you purify that? Is that a thing you can do? Can you pray? Like, I think he may need the help.
It's hearty.
I'm gonna
Good.
as I sit down, I'm gonna lean forward and I'm gonna snip it. There's meat in it, obviously.
Mhm.
I'm gonna be like, it's already polluted. That's beyond my capabilities.
Good luck, my friend.
I can already tell this is going to be a fun trip.
It should be a fun trip. I think it will be a fun trip anyways. It's going to be a long journey back to Palanthas, but I think it'll all be worth it. And it's for a good cause. So first off, thank everybody for signing up for it. And you'll hear from the other end of the table, like Voss is on one end, and on the other end, you'll hear his voice kind of pierce through the din of conversations that are kind of milling about and kind of obfuscating all the sounds around you with this mumbling of conversations that are half understood and maybe a quarter heard. All right, so you are the 5 fuckers that are coming with me. Yeah? And you'll look up and you'll see this man dressed in this like polished silver armor, like plate mail, the silver breastplate, and you'll see a sword and a crown and a kingfisher on the breastplate itself. He's wearing this white cloak that's kind of thrown back over his shoulders, has a long sword on his left hip, red beard like a goatee, and red hair, just fiery. And as he's leaning with one palm down on the table on the other end, straight across from Voss.
I guess
Yeah, you're the ones that hired for the job to go do the trip. Yeah?
that is what we're here for.
Good! We're all together in the same place. It's a celebration. Dekir! And you'll see him shout out to the dwarf who's talking with other people. Can't even fucking hear him. Dekir! Dekir! Lamas! And the elf literally comes out of the kitchen carrying the bread and cheese, and like you can see, he's got like 2 glasses of dwarven ale. What? I'm right here. You got drinks for my friends. They're all for us. Yeah? And Lamas is like, yeah. And he literally points at the tray in his hand. That's what I'm coming for. Sit your ass down. You've already had too much. And you'll hear the knight kind of chuckles like, oh, yeah, you're fine. You're right. And he'll sit down on the far end of the table. It's just a good sight to see so many able-bodied people, young people out for adventure, wanting to do the right thing by people who have been murdered by the most heinous of individuals in these mountains. Hats off to all of you. And the elf, Lamas, kind of looks back at him like, what the f... Puts down some dwarven ale, a cup in front of Jorg and a cup in front of Carol. Smells earthy, very like, almost like a subtle mushroom scent to it. And he'll put down cheese and bread for the table. Anything else except for him? And he'll kind of gesture towards the knight. Or are you all good?
All good here.
Great. Just make sure that more ale comes. I'm probably going to need it.
Yeah, I can handle that. And he'll actually look at Ren and kind of lean over like, listen. And hushed tones, and just this one side of the table can hear it. Listen, he's been drinking all morning. So I'm not thinking he deserves any more. And Ren's kind of like, well, thank you. We'll cut him off. I mean, he's nerve-wracking, I'm sure. Lamas is just like, okay, I guess, but just he's not getting anything else. And Ren just kind of nods. You see the elf kind of saunter back towards the back room. And the knight kind of just very, like, almost clumsily hits the table with his fist. All right. My name's Liam Shaley. Knight of the Crown. I am here to take a very important package back to Palanthas with all y'all. You're coming with me, and we've got to deliver people to make sure they get their proper burials. Yeah?
Sounds about right. Can we have a hearty meal first?
Wait a minute. Burials?
Aye, burials.
We're transporting dead people.
Yeah,
Aye.
we got him here so far.
What do you have like a? Are you dissuaded to bringing dead people places, Ross? Granted, when we were hired, we didn't know what we were transporting, but
These are heroes, people who died to see to the right and good of the world, and they need to be taken home for the proper burial.
Fuck me.
I've got friends on this wagon, aye? People I fought with and bled with. That's why we hired you, to make sure we can get there through all these the bogs and shite, so they get back to a proper burial and can be laid to rest.
What's the
It's
matter,
only
boss?
it's only respectful that they are put to rest properly.
What's the matter, boss? You look
Yeah,
a little
yeah.
bit squeamish there.
Nah, respectful. I can, you know what? I can almost guarantee you that is what they're most concerned about right now is a proper burial. You know what? I'm gonna need a lot more to drink.
Well,
are we
look at
leaving
it.
tomorrow or tonight?
You with the it looks like you got something stronger than ale over there. You mind sharing? Can I have a glass of that, you think? I'll be pointing at Carol.
My small glass. You want me to pour into another glass for you?
I'm assuming they're going to keep it coming for you. That's not all you're drinking, is it? There's no way.
That's all I'm having. Yes, I'm having it with my meal, and I'll slide the bread and cheese over to me and peel off and start eating.
Okay.
All right. Listen, lad.
Here, you can have some of mine.
Yeah,
Thanks.
see, sharing and sharing alike. This is a good start to any journey. Right? You can drink together, eat together, and have a relaxing evening before you venture out into the unknown. It's only the right way to do it. So when you get some of these dwarven spirits, you get that earthy smell. It's aroma. It's not subtly spiced, but there's an undercurrent of mushroom to it for damn sure.
So I'm anticipating that I've probably never had it before. So not knowing any better, I will take a big swig. And then promptly probably cough my ass off.
Let's make a con save.
All right.
Probably should.
Sybil is
have.
watching with wide-eyed delight.
22. You are good. So Voss takes a good healthy swig of this dwarven spirit and puts it back down, and it has that really wonderful, like earthy mushroom flavor in the mouth. And when you swallow it, it's like a second delayed, and then just boom, the burn hits you like fire down your esophagus since you never had it before. But you manage to kind of hold on. Like, you obviously maybe grip the edge of the table a little bit and you tense up just a tad, but you're okay. You don't cough. You manage not to choke. You just kind of maintain. You're solid. So for Jorg and Carol, who watch him down this, looks like he takes it like a champ.
Good to know. No,
Feeling better.
you got a decent constitution. That bodes well.
Yeah. And Liam's like, he chuckles as you drink. He's like, that's my lad right there. So to make things a bit easier, maybe on your mind, nightmares, shit like that, we're going to pay, I'd say probably, he looks at Rin, but half up front. Half sound good. And Rin's like, half of what? I haven't been told how much you're paying. I'm volunteering. And Liam's like, well, they didn't pay you. What are you doing it for? And Rin's like, because it's the right thing to do. And the knight's like, oh, okay. Ladies and gentlemen, and he kind of gestures to the crowd of the tavern in general. We have a pure white soul here in front of you. If you need anything done, maybe clothing mended or, I don't know, prayers to the gods of magic. Tip me crackers, aye? And Liam just starts rolling. Rin kind of tenses up a little bit. He's just got insulted and called out. And he clears his throat. He's like, Sir Shaley, if that is the proper term, we need to lay out the contracts here to make sure everything's settled so that before these individuals work with you, they know what's happening. Now, for Voss and everybody else who agreed, the pay is actually pretty substantial. You know, to take this payload all the way to Palanthas, it's supposed to be roughly 200 steel, which is ungodly expensive. That's a lot of money.
Sure, I'll take half up front. Sounds good to me.
Can we do that in a private area?
Liam's like, would you want a private for what? You're going to count it?
Are we going to go to the bathroom and do that?
No, because not everybody needs to know that that's a serious amount of.
Right. No, it's not. I don't have it on me.
Said half up front.
I'm not going to say where it is in a fucking common room of a tavern. And he literally,
that's what I'm talking about.
Very pointedly looks at the 3 cut purses that Voss has been kind of watching, and then looks back towards you.
That's what I'm talking about.
No, I have it. I'm just going to give it to you before you leave.
All right.
We all know the price here. I'm not going to say that that's a large number, but we're all in agreement that it's good for the trip, aye?
I'll drink to that.
All right,
I
good.
would definitely say so.
Round all
Always
around.
happy.
Everybody, dwarven spirits. I'm fine with that. And you'll look towards Lamas, because Lamas is coming back now to kind of top off your ales and make sure everybody's fine. And he looks at Lamas and goes, "Hey, Elven boy, get us another round of dwarven spirits." And Lamas looks at him and goes, "Yeah, sure, but not for you." "What do you mean not for me? It's my honor at stake, man. Drinking with my employees. They're doing me a solid. They're doing my dead friends a solid. We're going to have a drink together. All of us." And Lamas looks at him and goes, "Fine. I'll bring you water." And turns on his heel and goes back towards the kitchen. Liam stares at him, like watching him go by. And you see his expression change from almost like bemusement to a bit of annoyance. But when he turns back to you, that's dropping his back to being a little more mirthful. "All right, then. We're getting drinks. I figured we can leave in the morning."
All right.
Yeah?
It's all right. You can have my dwarven ale. When he brings it, I'll push it over to you because I got this, and I'll just clink my beer with my middle finger.
You're a good man. You know that. That's honorable what you've just done. Sacrifice is a tenet
I'm aware. Thank you.
that you should aspire to. Then I appreciate it. About 5 minutes pass at most, and
I'm
Lamas
a
will
nice
come
guy.
back.
I don't know what to say.
And he'll start placing drinks in front of everybody. He gives a large mug of water to the knight and turns around.
Once he
knight's-
starts walking away, I'll just kind of
Give it here.
over.
Here you go. I'll trade you. And he'll slide the water towards you.
Fair.
All right. To honor those who have passed before us, may they find their final rest where they deserve to be.
I'll definitely salute.
Okay.
Oh no, I'll salute, but I'll also add in to good deeds for the right prices.
I admire your brevity. And he'll just down this dwarven ale.
I'll drink my regular ale.
Or maybe to dirty deeds done dirt cheap.
Ring kind of chuckles, and Liam's like, "All right, I like where your head's at, man." So I've arranged for us to stay in the stables for the evening because I figured break of morning we could head the fuck out of here. Unless you all want to leave now.
Nah, people are drinking, kind of getting a little, wobbly. We could probably sleep it off.
All right, it's good. I've handled everything for the table and the food, so don't worry about paying anything of your own. I've got it all covered for you.
Fair enough.
All right, let's get some food, maybe have some more drinks, take a rest, and then tomorrow morning, head out. Crack of dawn. We'll be on our way, right?
Sounds
That's
good.
right.
All right. So, literally, you guys will spend the mid-afternoon into the evening just relaxing in the tavern. It gets a little bit rowdy here and there. A couple of fights break out around you guys, but nobody seems to be messing with this table. You got a wizard and a fucking knight and a bunch of motley individuals that seem to be mysterious to everybody, so they don't know who the fuck you are, what you can do, and just leave you all alone based on that alone. Rin gets a little bit irritated with Liam as the night goes on. For those who have traveled with him, you can tell that he's a little rubbed raw by the super casual nature of the night. The knight doesn't seem to give a shit.
At some point during the night, if they get too humdrum, I will definitely pull up my lute and bless the entire bar with a song or two as I start dancing on tables and, putting on a show.
Oh,
I'm not casting spells or nothing, but I'm making it fun.
As soon as he starts playing music and dancing, 2 more mugs of ale sit down.
You want to go ahead and give me a roll with your performance. 25. Wow. You guys are doing pretty good on some of these rolls right now. So you get up around the inn, you start kind of calling out to see what kind of songs people like, because you've kind of done this route in Ascension before. You know it's popular in the region, but you're not quite sure up north how things are. But once you get a couple ideas, people calling out the names of songs, some a bit tawdry, to be honest, you start recognizing them, and you start, kind of getting this whole crowd vibe going on where you're singing and playing your lute. You actually make probably, I'd say, about 2 steel by the end of the night. Mind you, it's in various types of other coinage, but it does add up to pretty much 2 steel. And it gets everything kind of more lively. It gets a little bit of that chaos kind of tempered in, and people are now more paying attention to you. So the night goes off after the first couple of bar fights. Once you start entertaining individuals, it goes off smoothly as hell. And you actually get a couple of smiles from the innkeep. And, Lamas is like, if you guys hadn't already paid, we'd probably give you things on the house just to make sure that everybody calmed the hell down. And
My pleasure.
And you'll see at this point, like, Liam's super in his cups. Like, this guy is fucking gone. He's passed out at the end of the table, thankfully quiet. So essentially, the person lets you know where you guys are sleeping and where your stuff is set up for your quarters for the evening, quarters lightly, is the Kagan the elf, the server. He'll take you out to the stables. They've kind of set up, 2 of the stalls for, like, a communal sleeping area for you guys. And he does profusely apologize. He's like, I'm sorry, we were full up whenever he came in, so this is really beyond our capability to handle so many people.
That's all right. This is plenty good. I'll definitely help the drunken knight to his bed.
Yeah,
just so you're aware, Ray, so I can sleep easier, I will utilize prestidigitation to make it feel nice and fluffy for 10 minutes so I can go to sleep.
You cheating son of a bitch. You will see that Rin has an issue with this, but essentially once he realizes that there's really no other options, like, he tries to bribe Lamas, and Lamas like, literally, we have, like, all the rooms are taken, I don't know what to tell you. And Rin's like, but I have money. And Lamas is like, but I have no rooms, so I'm sorry, I'll bring you out some extra pillows and some sheets, but there's nothing else I can do. So eventually he kind of gives up and submits to the circumstances such as they are.
I want to use the opportunity of the distraction of the song and dance and show that Dade is putting on, and I need to find out if this caravan that we're escorting is around. If I can talk to what's his name before he passes out, or he's maybe drunk enough to give me the information.
Oh, Liam?
without realizing that he's maybe probably shouldn't be telling me, because I need to scope it out, because I need to find out if the reason we're being told that we're escorting this and who these people are, if it's on the up and up. Okay. So I need to do a little recon on this caravan.
Sure. So before you guys go out to the stables, you have your chat with Liam, and since he's pretty in his cups, I'll let you go ahead and roll your choice of your persuasion or deception with advantage.
Okay. I will go with persuasion.
21.
21.
Let's see if you get anything better. Jeez. Oh, no, you did. Okay, so that's it.
Yeah. I rolled 15 and 18. Yeah.
Pretty nice. So he does start spilling to you. You find out that the caravan is really just a wagon, and he's the only knight that's with it. It's the knight and the wizard that are supposed to be the official representatives for Palanthas with this group. You find out that there are 3 knights and 2 wizards that are in the wagon. 2 knights, 1 knight of the rose, 2 knights of the crown, which were apparently his good friends, and 2 white-robed wizards. One's an elf and one is a human. They were killed in the mountains, and he was the only survivor when they got ambushed. And he's kind of been scrambling to get them back to Palanthas for their burials, and had to reach out to Legion of Steel, which, by the way, you find out he hates. He views the Legion of Steel as a bunch of turncoats that couldn't hack it in the Solamnic knighthood, that turned their back on their oaths and their lords, and became this band of vagabonds that roams the countryside seeking to vigilante justice. So he has no respect for them whatsoever. And you find out that the wagon itself is in the back of the... It's parked behind the stables, but it's covered with tarps.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'll find an opportunity at some point during the night to sneak away
Okay.
and go and find it.
Go ahead and roll me your stealth, since I'm assuming you're waiting until people start to fall asleep.
Yes.
27. What is happening? You guys are tier 1. What the fuck is this shit?
He's a rogue.
Yeah, right.
D&D Beyond likes him.
He does like him for now.
For
It'll
now,
get salty
yeah.
later. Trust
Yeah,
me.
Yep.
tonight.
So you sneak on back and you kind of make your way out through the back door of the stables, and you see this large tarp that's been cast, like it's been pittened into the ground, and kind of like almost like a sheet of this tarp, this thick material that's kind of up onto the edge of the stable, so it covers it over like a tent. You get in there, you can see that this larger wagon, 4-wheeled wagon, has a bunch of coffins in the back. But there are actually 6 boxes, not 5. The 6th one's relatively large.
Okay. Are they all identical in design and color and
Except
or
for the
that
6th one.
Okay.
The 5 look like coffins. They're probably made locally. They look like they're of freshly cut wood. The large crate, it's probably... Jesse, how tall is your character?
6'4".
It's about a 7-foot long crate by about 4 feet wide. It's on the base of all the other coffins.
thinking there's no way there's a body in that. How is it
Right.
sealed?
It looks like it's been nailed shut from the top.
Obviously, someone wanted to be buried with their horse.
So I'm going to try and use my dagger and pry up enough of the nails to get a peek. Not to the point where like I'm bending nails or like permanently removing them, but just up enough to where like I'd be able to push it back down into where the nails came out. You know what I mean?
Go ahead and let's say sleight of hand for this, because you're trying to do it without damaging anything. You're trying to make sure that you get enough just to get a peek. So it's going to be a lot of manual dexterity involved here.
Here
A
it goes.
5.
I rolled a 1.
Would you like to use a dice?
I will use a dice.
Okay. We got now
That's better.
round 2's a 23. That's a big difference in dice rolls. So you manage to pry up like around the bottom corner and you push it up. The light's a little low here, so it's a little rough to get a good uninterrupted view like in perfect conditions. But it looks like the outline of a really large body in here. And you see this like red or scarlet covered cloth that's around it. Not like it's mummy wrapped, but more like it's a robe or something that's over it.
The corner that I pried up, was I able to get a corner like, well, I guess I wouldn't know.
So I think you get like the bottom like portion where you just kind of push it up a little bit to look in.
The bottom portion? Okay. I'll just like stick my dagger in it and just like poke the shroud and kind of try and move it so I can maybe see what's under it.
You kind of put your dagger in, like you slither your hand in through the crack as you've lifted the top part of the crate, and where your dagger hits the cloth seems like it's almost a velvet material, but as you kind of push the move, there's something very hard underneath there. When you get the hem worked up, it's like metal. It's like a suit of armor that's underneath the robes.
I will close the lid back and push it back down as quietly and as well as I can, so it's not obvious that somebody popped it open. And then I am going to pop open just one of the other actual coffins, just to see if that person was also buried in their armor or if they're not.
I'm not going to make you roll sleight of hand again since you rolled really well on that last one. You managed to open up one of the coffins, which are secured with some rope. You just kind of slide it off and push open, look in, and you'll see one of the Knights of the Crown who is in his armor.
Okay.
The armor looks a little bit worse for wear. Like you can see there's still blood dried on it and some mud and some dirt on it as well.
Okay. Well, my curiosity has been sated and satisfied. This is weird, but ultimately mostly seems to be on the level. I will close this coffin back, and then I will sneak my way back out, putting the tarp back up, however that it was over the caravan, and I'll fuck off back to my room. Or back to where the rooms are.
Your room. Your
Yeah,
stall
yeah,
in the
my
barn.
stall, yeah.
You guys, you get back to sleep. Nobody seems any the wiser. You all wake up the next morning. You will see Liam's already been up. He wakes up pretty much as dawn hits. And he's kind of pulled the tarp off of the wagon. He's getting the horses secured. Krynn is kind of sitting cross-legged in the stall on a stack of pillows to kind of get rid of the pokiness of the hay and the straw. And he's reading his spell book very diligently as the sun's just starting to crest over the horizon and spill light into the stables.
Well, when I get up, just before the sun crests the horizon, I'll get up, try and quietly move myself into a sitting position to meditate.
I'm going to get up and I'm going to find Sybil and Dade, and I will kind of corral you both to a place where it's just the three of us. Jeff, you're just coming back. We're waking up in the morning. I'm coming and finding you and Sybil, and I'm kind of taking you off to the side, like in private, sort of.
Okay.
So about these heroes that we're transporting, these dead heroes that we're transporting, there's a sixth casket, but it's not a casket. It's more like a crate. And there's the largest suit of armor that I think I've ever seen in there. This crate was like 7 feet long.
Okay.
It's a metallic suit of armor. I don't know if anybody's in it or not.
Is it like steel?
It's weird. Yeah, it's steel. I hit steel when I took a look in. I don't understand why it was kept secret from us. Why do you think it was kept secret from us? We were told 5 and there's 6. Why wouldn't they have just said 6?
So Sybil's kind of just trying to get her head, like, she's apparently just woken up. Like, when you came to, like, corral us, she was still asleep. And then she's kind of rubbing the sleep from her eyes. She's like, I said they were fighting in the mountains, right? Like, maybe they were sent to pick something up. Yeah. Maybe that's whatever they were getting in the mountains. Who knows? I mean, what does it matter?
Because we were told 5 and there's 6.
Well, they said 5 bodies, and if the 6th one's just a big ass suit of armor.
Why would you keep an empty suit of armor in a? Why? Why? It was nailed shut. Why?
I don't know. I'm not from Palanthas. I have no clue.
Who knows? It could be treasure for all we know. Something they retrieved from some ancient grave of some Solamnic knight. How do we know? It doesn't matter. We were paid to transport the bodies. We're going to transport the bodies.
And we are, and that's fine, and we are. I'm just putting it I'm just putting it out there that I don't trust these people. I don't trust this guy. I don't trust this job, and we're already being lied to. Well, no, of course not, because they've let me down time and time again. You can't trust anybody. Everybody's full of shit. I'm just letting you know if something weird happens with whatever I've told you. Just telling you what I know.
Well, we know that there's a big, scary suit of armor in the crate. We'll keep it in mind.
I appreciate the heads up, but I don't think it's a big deal, really. If the important stuff is the bodies, then... I mean, whatever. I mean, if we pick other shit up along the way, and then are we transporting that too? Did they lie about that too? I mean, are we, like, picking at straws here?
Maybe. We're not really off to a very... I don't know. I'm just feeling weird about the whole thing. I'm not off to a very good start here. I don't like it.
Well,
do you think they'll cover breakfast too? Do you think breakfast is part of the deal?
I don't see why not. And if not, I'm sure I can pay for it.
All right, let's go find out.
All right, so that was our first episode of our new Dragonlance campaign. Let me tell you, we've all been really looking forward to this one, and it's been a lot of fun to put together for everybody. We have a lot of really cool characters that I'm really happy to say you guys will learn a lot more about as the game goes forward. And we'll see everyone back with the next episode where we start kicking things off with a bit more action as things get a little hectic on the road. See you then.